Welcome to the United We Scan podcast, the podcast by rural carriers for rural carriers. The views expressed in this podcast are of the presenters and the presenters only and do not represent the views, opinions, or strategies of the United States Postal Service or the National Rural Letter Carriers Association. We ask that you please consult your assigned union representative for guidance in your local area. Please like this podcast, share with your fellow rural carriers, and subscribe to be notified each time a new episode is uploaded. Please leave a comment or question for us below. Thank you. Now, here are the hosts of the United We Scan podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 127? 128? My bad.
128.
128. Wow. That's 128 episodes of United We Scan. And we're approaching another national convention. But before we get to discussing our topic of the day, how was your week, Josh?
Hot, 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 hot. F this, it's hot. I want winter now. When it's 96 degrees and 95% humidity. Thank God I have AC, but I'm drinking like crazy. I'm hydrating. This is ridiculous, folks. You go outside. It's 80 degrees at 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like someone just sucks the life out of you. Please, know your limits. Hydrate. My week was good. The mail yesterday was just a joke. I had maybe 20 get-outs for the whole route. And I'm thinking, well, Monday, what's it going to be like? But week was good. Not too much mail. Can't wait for a convention. Bill?
Oh, God. I had a very busy week. A lot of inquiries, specifically about some EOS, some SPMs, the forcing of regulars to carry partial routes out, the use of a scanner for communication for non-emergency purposes, the list of carriers that were subject to be forced to go back out on routes, partial routes. Grandson, of course, and, the little booger was so wound up, he didn't get his nap on Wednesday. So by the time his parents came home, I was, came over to get him. I was finally be able to get a shower at 7 p.m. this Wednesday night. I love the little sucker, though. They look at you with those eyes and you melt, I want to beat him, but I can't. So, other than that, I did, like I said, I did some shopping, and it's been hot and muggy up here. Humidity is the killer. Even if it's like 85 degrees out and the humidity is above 70%, you feel like you're walking into a sauna. You just take a breath, and you can feel the warmth go right into your lungs, and it's like, this is not right. God bless you all out there. Places like New Mexico, Texas, and all with the sheer heat, but the rest of us, on this eastern seaboard, we get the humidity on top of the heat, and our heat can be 20 degrees less than yours, but the humidity it saturates you. I can remember just going outside to load a truck and coming back in and, having a towel on the back of my neck because I got to wipe all the perspiration off my head, my face, and everything else. It's brutal. So you're right. Hydrate the day before, and fog your glasses. I did that in the morning. I come out on my back deck here, at 7:30 in the morning, and I walk from the air conditioning in it. It's like, okay, now I got to wait for my glasses to clear up. It's ridiculous. So everybody hydrate and be safe, and look out for each other. James, how about you? How was your week?
All right, so I had to download a new recording software because last week we didn't have somebody to record for us. But this week I'm recording it, and of course going through the growing pains of figuring out how to record this stuff, and hopefully it's working right. If not, there won't be an episode posted. But I'm doing the best I can.
Your voice is still off a little bit. I don't know if you're moving around or not, but
no, it's probably Discord, and because I'm using the recording system and a Bluetooth earpiece to talk on this, so it's probably messing it up a little bit on Discord. Hopefully the recording's coming through good though. But it's normal week at work. Didn't have to work my relief day Saturday, so luckily. But I apologize to everybody on Discord if there's issues going on. I'm trying to figure all this out myself. I do have my computer's not working hard to record this as it is, but I've never used Discord through my computer before, so that could be also an issue. But just trying to get stuff ready for National Convention, getting stuff organized, getting stuff ordered, setting up for my table and things like that, plus getting this house all cleaned up and organized. I spent all day today outside in the heat, sweating my butt off, using shop towels to dry my forehead and my eyes out, and went through 4 shop towels just doing the yard work. But other than that, I'm looking forward to our national convention and helping carriers until that time through my page. But other than that, let's get into today's topic, which is National Convention. Now, everybody that's here, I believe, has already been to a National Convention. And so I want you guys, we've already done this last year as well, but I want you to talk about what you expect to see at National Convention. What do you expect to happen? What do you expect people to expect to see when they go to National Convention? Because there's all kinds of new people going to National Convention. I know there's quite a few first-timers stepping up, so I kind of want to have you guys guide what the first-timers are to expect to have and what even veteran attendees can expect. So we'll start with you, Bill, as the biggest veteran of national conventions on this podcast. We'll let you lead it off with what to expect at National Convention.
Oh God. Let's start off with the fact that you can go in there on Sunday and you can start attending meetings from morning, noon, and then nighttime. Same thing with Monday. There probably will be another rally thrown in there in regards to the privatization and supporting the rural craft. Tuesday is the start of the actual convention, and Tuesday is nothing but a kiss-ass show of platitudes from everybody, from the Postmaster General, if he attends this year. I do not know. I believe our convention will be the first that he has the opportunity to attend. It'll be the introduction of the local people, state, hotels, and everybody else. And it's a lot of glad handing and backpack patting and everything else. It's a complete waste of a convention day to me. And I just wish they would eliminate that, from the get-go. I mean, they could take that and cut that down to a couple hours, and we can get the business of the unions so much faster. But I think this is a predetermined act of convention so that they can control the end of the convention and kind of force us to rush through things at the end. And I really hate that. And Wednesday comes along, and that's when we're going to get to the gist of the business, including the nomination of officers for the different positions, and you get down to the business of the contract, and the president Don Madsen will be able to speak more freely in regards to the contract, and he may or may not take questions. Thursday, but you're gonna say no? Okay, Wednesday night is your banquet night. That's when everybody gets together and has a good time. There's good food, some music, free-flowing alcohol. You're going to get your resolutions hopefully on Tuesday so we can start on them. But, you typically we get them on Wednesdays. And then people will be sitting around Wednesday nights, going over the resolutions and everything. One of the things you notice at these conventions is the clique pocketing, okay? What I mean by that is the different cliques of the political allies and pocketing in small corners and rooms and stuff like that. And it's funny because of the fact that you can sit there and say, okay, this is a free election, but it's not. There are still states that almost require their individual delegates to vote along a block forum, meaning we're voting for this individual, so everybody's voting for this individual. Well, that's not free voting, folks. I mean, it's one of those things where you sit there. My wife went to the one in Texas several years ago, and she just sat there and for my wife to say they're a bunch of backstabbing son of bitches, she could see how people could come up and kind of endorse you and then turn around and stab you in the back. Case in point, 2 conventions ago in Grand Rapids, my state president was supposed to do my nomination, and at 8:30 in the morning backed out on the morning of the nominations. And my nice little Christian-like wife went off, and I mean, she uttered syllables I had never heard come out of her mouth. But that's the politics of the union, and that's the problem with our union. These people are more concerned about keeping their positions and not carrying their routes. At our state level, we have it because of the fact that I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't understand why this person gets to go do orientations or do all the training, the what do you call it? What's the other one they do?
First timer seminar.
No, the job. They have job fairs." And they're concerned. They're more concerned about getting off their route than doing their job.
Oh yeah.
Earlier, there was a discussion about somebody in regards to the end of shift duties, the red line, and all that. And here's an ADR giving the wrong answers. And settling for language again. Settling for language. If you have a valid grievance, it should be settled or cease and desist immediately, and then attach a financial penalty that accumulates progressively for each instance after that date. But no, they settle for language. It's like that does nothing but encumber management to say, well, we can do this again and get away with it because we're going to get slapped on the wrist. I digress. Thursdays, it's more convention business. You get to the end of Thursday, it's caucus night, which is a foot race from room to room for different caucuses that have either singular states or groups of states in there, and you get to pitch your ideas of where you want to lead the union, where the union has to concentrate and focus their efforts in regards to helping protect, educate, and promote the rural craft. It's a marathon. It really is, folks. And depending on how many rooms they break it up, how many caucus rooms they break it into, it can go well into 11 o'clock at night. And when it's done, I mean, you're exhausted. Friday morning is more continued. Well, you may be able to get into the resolutions Thursday afternoon, and then Friday morning, and they'll ask for any more nominations for the offices. And then, they'll start with the presidential election. The teller bees collects the ballots, goes out, counts them, brings it back, and announces the winner. And then they get up there for the vice president, and so on down the board. And in between those sessions, while tellers bees out with the ballots, they're doing more resolutions in regards to what to accept as binding and non-binding. It's a pretty filled atmosphere from I would say Tuesday on, especially if they get the resolutions to us. A lot of times that people say, "Oh, it looks like a party." The only time we ever partied was after caucus night, because everything's said and done. You've made your case as pointedly as possible to the body that's there. And unfortunately, most of the body that attends these national conventions until we get it changed is and are people who are affiliated with the national board, whether they be, state officers who've been on, the committees, who get brought into Alexandria, Washington, D.C. to do their seminars there, whether it's full-time NSS employees who mostly are required to be there. But, fortunately, we can control how many NSS employees go by voting for those people when delegate forms come out in the spring. And please, don't think that I don't support the NSS. I do. I just don't support individuals in the NSS. And I don't think the NSS should be a housed entity in Alexandria. The NSS could be run from whoever, is the director of the NSS, the director of steward operations. That could be run from their own home state, just like an executive committee person. The fact of the matter is that these people all owe their allegiance and their substantial paychecks to the National Board, because the National Board is the ones who created this lopsided pay scale for NSS employees, and they're going to owe their loyalty to the National Board as long as that's written into the Constitution in regards to their remuneration and pay. Friday after the elections are done, all said and done, we can continue with the resolutions, and they can, depending on, the facility and the requirements to clear the hall, you can go late, especially if the election gets dragged on for multiple, phases in regards to how many times you have to elect the committee person or not. And those are the positions usually they have 3 to 4 people running for that position. This year we only have one executive committee position up, James. Is that true?
So far we have just Natasha Patterson is the only person currently nominated at the regional conferences for the executive committeeman position. There's nobody from the national board that is running. It is Jeanette Dwyer's seat this year. She hasn't announced that she's doing anything or running for any position. And so right now, as it stands, before we get to National Convention, the executive committeeman 4-year position is currently unopposed.
Okay. Well, so yeah, we're in that situation where, it might be a slam dunk, in regards to getting through the elections in a fairly quick pace. And then after the Friday, the close of business Friday, most people are smart enough to, stay over till Saturday morning, trying to get out of there and get to the airport on a Friday night and get home in a timely fashion. It's not reasonable. So, I'll be leaving Saturday morning too. But, that's the gist of the convention. There's a lot of politics involved, and, in regards to, who's running and who's supporting and all that. And we saw that at the last Grand Rapids because of the fact that certain people dropped out in the middle of an executive committee position because they wanted another individual who's most likely able to win to garner their votes that they would have taken away from that person. And then they turned around and jumped into the race on the next round. So, it's all political, folks. I can say without any question, at least 50% of our national board is there for their own interests, not for ours. And just as, what's his name? Oh, God. Clifford Daly, spent 20 plus years as our secretary treasurer. I expect the same thing to happen with Tommy Turner because it's a neutral position, and as long as he doesn't do anything too shady or allow members of the board or the national board themselves to go outside their rights in expensing things, nobody will ever question it and nobody will ever challenge it. I've always been amazed that with 50 states that we don't have more people running for these positions. And people say, well, they got to work their way up the ladder. These people have been in the damn union 20, 30 years. So what ladder do they have to work up? The national board ladder? Does that mean that they're, they're competent enough for a state, but they can't do national? Well, I could say that the same thing about Don Madsen. But, I would have to say that I would compare Don Madsen to Gavin Newsom in regards to running the state. Neither one are competent. So, that's my personal opinion. That's the gist of the conventions. It's exciting, it's intriguing, it's boring. It's a whole soap opera. And I wish that we would ever get to the point where we would have one member, one vote in our Constitution, because that would just destroy national boards hold. And I mean, it's a chokehold on our craft.
Well, this will be my third national convention. I'm going to tell any first-timers listening, please go to the first-timer seminar. You're going to hear possibly from Mr. Jim Slaughter, who is our resident parliamentarian. He's going to give you a handout on how to ask a question, how to call the question, how to make an inquiry. Because while we, as the body, would like to recognize you if you have a question, you have to say it properly. So if I get up to the microphone and I want to make a point, I have to say my name, Stowe, Delegate, North Carolina. Then you have to wait to be recognized by the chairperson. And then you can have your point of information, point of personal privilege, a question, call the question, whatever. I hope at this one, because I think last time James and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, they were in Florida, they had the new vehicle. I would love to see that. It, like Bill said, y'all, you see pictures online of people having a drink. This is at the Rose and Shingle Creek in Orlando. There's a big pool. You may see people hanging out by the pool. They need that drink because it is a whirlwind. Basically from Tuesday, like Bill said, until Friday night, you're going nonstop. And you barely have enough time to eat breakfast in the morning, go into session, and depending on your state, they're watching you. I want to make this point of information. They're watching you to make sure that you attend everything. We had something in the chat that asked if they should go to caucus night. Depending on your state, they're going to make sure you go to everything. And they have the authority, at least in my state of North Carolina, to dock your delegate pay if you're a paid delegate if you don't attend so much of the convention. So keep that in mind. You may be tempted to sneak off and go to the bar and get a drink and play hooky from the proceedings, but your delegate at large, your secretary-treasurer, or a member of your state board may be out there watching you. So it's fun, it's boring, it's pomp and circumstance, it's the business of the union. I hope to meet a lot of you there. Just listen for this voice. But it's a great time, and just think of it like this. If you're a paid delegate and you're voting on these resolutions and voting for president, vice president, all on down the line, the math indicates that your vote represents the views and opinions, the hopes and dreams of roughly 100 rural carriers in most cases. So keep that in mind when you're making your decisions. James?
I agree with everything you guys have said on here. I just want to add, I disagree with a little bit of what Bill said, but that's okay. We have the right to disagree.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
But the big thing, like Josh said, whether you are a delegate or an alternate delegate, even if you're not a delegate, if you're just a member, you can attend National Convention. And you should. And the reason why you want to attend. As a delegate, you are the voice of the voiceless. You are the voice of the carriers who can't come to National Convention, whether it's because they can't hire enough relief carriers because of POV routes and the RCAs can't afford to buy a car, let alone maintain one at the wages that we pay, or it could be no RCAs because you have a toxic and hostile manager, so the carriers can't attend National Convention. So you're speaking on behalf of those who can't speak at National Convention. If you're an alternate delegate, it's important you attend too, because guess what? You are the backup to the delegate, and you should attend everything as well, because guess what? There's a possibility you could be moved up to delegate, and you better know what's going on when you get up there. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind scrambling to figure it all out. But the good news is there are people who get together to go through resolutions, to talk about what's going on, to figure out whether to support or object to resolutions. And our good friend Wild Bill does put on a resolutions committee for delegates. And they go through all the resolutions in a room until they get through them all. And that could be 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, but they get through all the resolutions in one night. Big things happen at National Convention. Bill was talking about the pomp and circumstance at the beginning of National Convention. Unfortunately, part of the cost savings for National Convention comes with those people who speak on Tuesday. Other than the Postmaster General, our president, and a few of the people we have, like our legal team, APCU, CVS, Aetna, and all those other advertisers that also have tables, they're paying to be there. They're paying to advertise there. And that's supporting our National Convention. So they have to be able to advertise on Tuesday. Speaking of tables, there will be a room where there will be tables. Not only will you have your candidates for national office in the room, you'll also have sales tables like PJ Signs, where I get my shirts that say United States Postal Service Rural Carrier. I either get them there or I get them from my pack table, who buys them from him. Or Cool Dad Ass was there last year, right across from my table. They were actually set up right there. They also had a table set up for the insignia store for the NRLCA. But that's another thing you should visit. The tables of the people who are there to support or run for office. And that helps our National Convention as well, because the people that are selling stuff there, they paid for those tables. And that supports National Convention. When we pay for the banquets and we pay for, other stuff at National Convention, that supports the convention. But also, don't be afraid to step up to the mic. It may be your first time, but guess what? There are people that have 15, 20 years of experience of going to National Convention that still make mistakes on the mic. So don't be afraid to make a mistake. I make plenty of mistakes. I get called out for them all the time. It's okay. I'm used to them. I actually acknowledge my mistakes because I'm only human. But they'll definitely try and throw it down my throat. But don't be afraid.
But James, if you don't make the mistake, that means you're not making the effort. It's easy to go through life not attempting something and not making mistakes and accomplishing nothing. The effort itself is worthwhile and praiseworthy, okay?
Yes.
And yes, you are right in regards to the people that they turn around and they do support, through their payments and all for sponsorship. But it's like watching a movie, okay? I don't need 18 commercials in between, the movie breaks, okay? I don't need a 40-minute dissertation from NARF. I need, clear, concise, let's get to the business of the convention. That's what I want. And, look, if I'm going to hear from the Postmaster General, okay, I don't need to hear from a local, district manager at a SDNC also. Because, they're hand in hand with their policies. So I don't want to hear any more gratuitous bullshit from somebody who's sitting there violating contract day in and day out with messages to their postmasters and managers, supervisors in regards to how to belittle the crafts that are under them. If you want to put the Postmaster General up there, fine. I don't need to hear from anybody else, from the post office. We all know what really goes on every day in our post offices and SDNCs.
Yeah, and somebody said this, as an alternate delegate, can you actually stand up to speak? You need to suspend the rules to allow an alternate to speak. Now, I actually have experience with that because at my state convention, I had Bridget Boziak suspend the rules for me to present a resolution at state convention. So, it is possible. At national, it's a little harder to get a 2/3 vote to suspend the rules than it is at a state convention, but it is possible. And don't be disheartened if they say no. It happens. But when they say yes, oh yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling to be recognized, even as an alternate delegate, to be able to speak. And yes, it does go long sometimes. However, there are time limits on things they do. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They try to set time limit of closing business at normal business hours. So that way we can get to other things like seminars or the banquet. But Friday, it goes until it's done. And it's the same with caucus night. What did we get done at 1 o'clock in the morning last year, Bill?
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
But there were so many candidates that they actually had to have us have rest breaks in between caucus rooms so that everybody had a chance to go to all the caucus rooms. But yes, it is a very long, very tedious process, but it is worthwhile to fight for this craft. It's worthwhile to take those steps. And we are getting to that point of getting close to National Convention, so we wanted to let you guys know what you could expect. Bill, you have anything else you want to add about National Convention?
It's a huge learning curve. I had a first timer attend our Pennsylvania convention with N this year and was just amazed at everything that transpires during the convention itself. This is 10 times as much because of the amount of people there. For us, it is 10 times as many people go to the Pennsylvania State Convention. You will run into people who have different points of views. And I would suggest if you do, address it cordially, politely, in regards to one human being to another. And if they disagree, explain. You're welcome to disagree. I don't feel that way. I don't believe that this contract was in our best interest. I don't believe that they have the carriers in mind when they present these articles for consideration, the inclusion of the contract. Disagree politely, okay? I've never seen a fight break out at the National Convention. I'd like to start one, but the fact of the matter is I've never seen one because most people either will walk away from you, they'll argue with you, or they'll discuss it with you. But there's a certain decorum that you have to maintain in spite of how you personally feel about that individual. And I'm pretty sure you all know how I feel about Don Madsen, but I will afford him all the courtesies of the office of president. I can respect the office of president. I don't have to respect the man, and I don't. So, hopefully, if somebody, if we actually get this, episode out on air, Don, I don't like you, period. I don't think you're concerned with the craft. I don't think you're concerned with the future because you're retiring soon, and that's not the way you do. You don't take a golden parachute for a year just so you can cruise into retirement. You are in a position of service, and you should be fighting for us 24 hours a day, every day. Oh, we do all this work. We do, half the stuff you do is travel. Okay, I'm sorry that's an inconvenience for you, but this is the position you signed up for. So do the best job possible, and don't give us this glad-handing language that you have, that almost mirrored what DeJoy said last year. I couldn't believe that you guys almost, sat down next to each other and wrote your speeches out saying, oh, put this in, put that in. It was just such a slap in my face. I just, like I said, let's have a cage match. After the banquet. How about that?
Okay, Josh, now we've gone past that political speech. Go ahead.
I want a commitment from you, James, from you, Bill, and from me. One of us will take a moment of personal privilege to thank the non-paid guests and alternate delegates that are in the audience, because I think we need to show our appreciation for people that are willing to come on their own dime and learn. this.
Well, I think your suggestion is going to be taken up by the national board since they listen to this.
Hello, Don. You're welcome. You can have that one.
I'm not going to mention somebody who's going to be a sergeant at arms, but like I told that old lady a couple of years ago, get in my way, and it's going to be a bad night for you. I'm kidding.
Well, before I was so rudely interrupted, Jesus.
I said, excuse me. Go ahead. Sorry, sir.
That's all right.
Mea culpa, mea culpa.
Yeah, mea culpa. Wow. Interesting with the last name. This is game time, y'all. This is where the business of the union is conducted. This is where we take what we want our contract to be and put it up to the members to vote, to make changes, to accept it on the face of it, or to flat out deny it. Now, I don't know how to say this, but we have to put our best effort forward to make sure that what could go into our next contract is to our best interest. We don't have the luxury of thinking about just the one person that wrote that resolution. I mean, there was a resolution last year that I remember that no carrier be allowed to deliver after dark. Okay, well, what about in Alaska? They deliver in the dark. So, while it's good in theory, it may not work for everybody. But as they said, this is where views are different. We all want better, but everybody has a different way of getting there. For people in Texas, it's going to be different than for people up in Minnesota. But all I ask is that we not have a repeat, and James and Bill, you can chime in on this. I do not want to have someone come up to the microphone or the chair have to address the body to chastise someone bad-mouthing someone in the body. To me, that is counterintuitive to our mission. We need to be professionals up there. Because the fact that it had to be done 3 times, to me, it is sickening. I'm not.
One time is too
I'm
many.
not. Yeah, one time is too many. And like your mama told you, or what you should have learned in preschool or kindergarten, if you ain't got nothing to say, keep your damn mouth shut. Oh wait, well that would write out every politician. I digress. But I hope to see all of y'all there. Just listen for the raspy North Carolina voice. But it's going to be fun. You're going to be a lot of country. Going to make new friends. But just be ready. Don't have the rose-colored glasses on thinking, I'm just going to have a good old time and I'm going to have a lot of free time. You ain't. You're going to be working hard. And I dare say, when you're sitting in there, especially during elections, I would much rather be running my route, even as hot as hell as it is here in North Carolina. Especially when you're going till 10 o'clock at night. Like someone said in chat, it is more mental work than doing your route. Yes, that's it right there. Preach it, girl, preach it. So, I'm fading, but that's all I got.
That's okay.
To follow up on his, James, to follow up on his comment about the attacks on the floor, and I was surprised that the parliamentarian did not actually tell Don, about the standing rules in regards to that, but just sat there like a lump through all 3 attacks. I mean, that should have been considered to be out of order from the get-go. And, when you can't command a room to follow your orders as the chair in regards to treating people respectfully and everything, then, there's something wrong with your ability to lead, because they attacked and then attacked again. So, I hate to tell you, but, that was a sign of your lack of leadership.
Well, it also shows that, in my view, the person that did that attack, their state should take a measure and probably, I don't know, maybe not outright eliminate, but maybe dock their delegate pay, an appropriate amount. Oh, here I go with something new, but I mean, like I said, We're adults, allegedly.
Supposedly.
Act like it. Supposedly. Hopefully.
I couldn't believe that in an environment where we are trying to unite the craft and fight for the craft, that people could not contain their vitriol. Instead of trying to work to better everything for the rural craft, they would rather do attacks on individuals or comments on individuals instead of focusing on why they are there in the first place. And
It's more expedient.
I'm going to say this. The individuals who were commented on at the mics for their toxic and hostile comments were all elected delegates. They were not alternates. They were not non-delegates. They were all elected delegates. It took some digging, but I found each individual who was involved in that. I know who they are. But that is up to their state to take care of that issue. It could be brought up by the chair, but ultimately, because they are state delegates, they're the delegates for the state, it is supposed to be taken care of by the delegate at large. I know that a lot of people find me controversial because I haven't gone up the chain, started at local, then state, and then up to national. But what I do have is a care for the craft. And that is why the first person to actually make a comment that night was me, because I was told by a alternate delegate that they were spoken to in a negative way by a delegate. And then we have a delegate step up to the mic and tell the chair that it needs to stop also because that delegate was attacked by a delegate verbally. And then the chair got notified by another person that a delegate had made a negative comment as well, to where the chair had to make a comment on stage. 3 instances within 2 days. So if you're going to make comments, make them at the mic. Make your difference
Be
at
on
the
record.
mic. Be on the record. Don't hide behind anonymous names or anonymous comments. Be an adult and put your name behind it.
Show some gumption.
Because there are first-timers that'll go up there and put their name behind their comments. Why can't you? Anyway, now we have an announcement to make, don't we, guys?
Yes, we do.
Bill, you
We
want
do? Nobody told me. What the I feel like I'm in Antarctica. You guys have an announcement to make and I don't know about it?
You do know
What
about
the
it.
fudge?
You do know about it. You were the first one that was talked to about it.
Give me a hint.
It was an agreement between the 3 of us on this.
Our future?
Yes. We're making...
Here?
Yes. We are making an announcement that this will be our last episode through National Convention.
Oh, God, okay, God. I thought you were coming up with something new, yeah.
No. What we talked about, what we were going to do last week before we had no recorders. So
Right.
we stuck around for another week with everybody gearing up for National Convention and getting everything together. Bill having to get all his stuff together, dealing with all the issues he's dealing with carriers, me dealing with all the setup and preparing for running for office, and Josh agreeing with us as well that he has to get ready for National Convention as well and set himself up for that. We decided that we are not going to produce any more episodes until after National Convention. We will still be available on social media in the Discord server, and well, I'll be available on Facebook. I'm sure Bill will too, and Josh as well. But we will not be taking the time to record episodes until after National Convention. Go ahead, Josh. You want to talk on this?
I'll let you do the talking.
Okay, Bill, you do some talking.
Yeah, okay. I mean, but the thing of it is that there's a lot that goes into getting ready for this. James has to prep, especially hard because of the fact that, he's facing an uphill battle with the status quo. And I suggested that we do it up to the week of, but with James laying out his scheduling, it wasn't advantageous for him to participate. And I said, look, I'll do whatever I have to support you. And I said, and Josh is willing to. I said, we can make it unanimous. I said, I'm more in favor of James being as well prepared as he possibly can be. And he has a lot more, to get ready for in regards to, his table, people manning it, his caucus night, his speech, his acceptance speech, for the nomination, his acceptance speech as the new president of the NRLCA. It's a bit much. And, I wish I had done that probably one or two times, but the fact of the matter that I can, do fly better than James can, where he prefers to be more, prepared. It's understandable that, we discontinue this until the National Convention's over. I mean, the Sunday, most of you guys are getting in there Sunday, aren't you?
I'm getting in Saturday.
I haven't figured out if Saturday, Sunday or Monday at this point. I'm still figuring that out.
Well, I see Meow's comment there. I tell you what, okay, and James and I haven't discussed this, but as much as a controversial figure as he is, I'm a bit more galvanizing and polarizing as far as being a controversial person. So, I will discuss with James as far as how far he wants me to get involved in the convention itself in regards to his support. I mean, I'll be there to support him, but do you really want, Mao Zedong and Putin, going to battle together? Because, nobody likes either one of them. But that's the discussion that James and I will have to be having in the future here, because I don't want to affect his candidacy in any negative fashion. And some people do see me as that. So we'll have that discussion later.
Well, the good news is I already have my nominator, and it's not Bill.
Yep.
And so now I'm working on people to help at my table and people to walk with me on caucus night. That's a big thing. And getting everything organized for this, I'm not a big early planner, but this is such a pivotal moment for this union that I believe I need to prepare every single option that can happen, every single question that can be asked at caucus. I have to prepare everything together before that. And it's not easy. It's not easy to step up there with absolutely no clue how everything works and do a 3-day campaign and still get almost a third of the votes. Well, a quarter of the votes. And then the next year learning as much as you can for the year and expanding your knowledge base, then turning around and also helping carriers left and right. But the thing is I have been an advocate of this union and getting people involved, getting people stepping up as stewards, stepping up and doing things for the craft. So much so that now I am asking carriers to step up for me. And
y'all owe it to him.
Thanks, Josh. But I know that caucus night, walking caucus night is a lot of walking. You'll get your steps in for sure. But if you choose to support, then talk with your delegate at large and let them know that you will be walking with a candidate for caucus, so that way they can mark you down as you are there. And guess what? When you go into their caucus room, they're going to see you walking in the caucus, so they know you've been attending caucus and seeing what's going on. Other than that, if you want to help support out, just send me a message on my Facebook page. Other than that, we're going to say good night to everybody here until after National Convention, and then we'll pick it back up and tell you what's going on after National Convention. I believe Frequency, you'll be doing the live streaming of the conversations going on like last year. Hopefully we'll get a couple more people that'll step up and help, even though Frequency was great at it last year. But until then, what are your final thoughts, Josh?
We're about to enter the Thunderdome with the convention. It's going to be fun. It's going to be pomp and circumstance. It's going to be boring. It's going to be a requirement of you to be involved. If you know a delegate that is going and you're not going, please encourage them and let them know that what they're about to do, they represent the views, opinions, and strategies, to use your terms, James, of 100 carriers. Okay? To those of you that are going, remember, it's not all about you. It's about the craft. We want to represent the craft. I hope to meet all of you there. Just look for the dorky-looking guy from North Carolina. But like I said at the opening, it's hot. Hot as hell. We had a heat index near where I am in North Carolina of 110 this week. And it feels like a year as long as this summer's been. People are dying in this heat. It's 9 o'clock at night. If y'all haven't started hydrating by now, good luck tomorrow. Start hydrating 12 hours before you go into work. I don't want to hear one more report of a city or a rural carrier, or hell, even one of our supposed competitors, Amazon, FedEx, DHL, UPS. I don't want to hear of anybody getting sick and or dying in this heat. I haven't seen it this bad, this long, for a long time. This is an exceptional summer. So be safe. If y'all are going to convention, safe travels. Good luck. I hope to see you there. And just remember, you are the most important delivery at the end of the day. Get home to your family safe and sound. Yes, Bill, I stole your line. Again.
You prick.
Thief.
Well, I want to put it on record that I'm exceptionally proud of James in regards to his social media platforms that he's maintained and put information out there for the regular carriers. And that's the type of leadership that we should be seeking. Constant communication in regards to what's going on with your route adjustments, whether it's, anything going on in the office of being forced to take pieces of vacant routes, people taking your vehicle without your permission. It's one of those things that, I'm not exceptionally well at, with the social media. I'm a, question and answers type person. You give me a question, I'll give you the answer. I get phone calls, texts, IMs, and everything all week long. I'm surprised how much interaction I have with people across the country, not just, my SD&C or state, but across the country. And, I'm happy to help them. That's part of the problem with our national board. These are positions of service, and you're not there to make your retirement, to pad your retirement. You're not there, because you like the authority and the control and everything. You're there for the betterment of every person underneath you in the craft. And that includes the non-union members. It's like in my office, I said, if they attack a non-union member, how long before they come after a union member for the same offense? So you have to stand up for each and every individual in the craft. And I'm glad to say that James is of enough integrity that when he makes a mistake, he admits it and thanks the person for bringing it to his, knowledge that, he made a faux pas. But you don't hear that from our board. You don't hear them apologizing for carriers having to pay money back after the last mini mail survey when they were overpaid. But they were never overpaid when their routes were over evaluation, over a 48K. And for the national board to unanimously agree that that was the best option out of three that the post office gave them, it gives me slight concern that these people care about us at all. If they gave you 3 options and they all suck, you should have told them, blow it out your ass. And I'm telling you, if I was president, I would say that exactly. You can blow this out your ass. This is not in the best interest of our craft. You screwed up, okay? The engineers screwed up. You knew this was coming along, and you did it anyway. So unless you want to turn around and pay every person over a 48K for all the hours they've been working, like I did for 6 years until I retired, then shut the hell up, because you're coming after us for nickels and dimes while we've been saving you millions. Like I said, James, I'm proud of you in regards to you reaching out, educating, informing people. And I pray that we get this changed this year, because after this contract, as I'm sitting in my caucus room, and Don Madsen and Patrick Pitts and Adams and Nikki, as they come through the rooms, guess what? I'm going to ask him, Don, in this magazine, you said you were looking for substantial wage increases. You were looking for the elimination of Table 2. How did you fall so short of those goals that we were seeking? And how dare you stand up here and go run for re-election on the basis that you failed to perform and provide what you said you stood for? I want some accountability. I'm just amazed. Like I said, people, you can't call them sheep. Well, if you're not sheep, then you're parasites, and you're just attached to the fish taking you for a swim, because that's the way you're going to make your mark in this union, being a long-term DR or ADR or, as an executive committee person, whatever. I'm sorry. If you don't want to work the long hours, okay? If you don't want to travel, if you don't want to address the issues that affect us every day, and that's the biggest problem. The everyday issues is what's corroding the craft. And yet, I don't hear anything from the national board in regard to addressing these issues. How many step 4s do we have sitting at arbitration? It could improve the life of the craft. How many decisions do ADRs and DRs make when they settle for language instead of going after these bastards? I want better leadership. I want directed leadership, informative leadership, communicative leadership. I want somebody there who knows the daily trials and tribulations that you all go through. And that's not one person on that board, except maybe John Adams, who recently moved up to his position. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on. I'll keep it short and shorten it now. I believe in the craft. I'm just disillusioned by the board. And I hope we get the opportunity. We do have the opportunity this year to change it for the better. But you rely on the other people with their experience to help guide you and tutor you. You have an entire support staff in Alexandria, Virginia, to assist you, who have been there for years and can help you tremendously in regards to what you have to do on a day-to-day basis, who you meet with, where you have to be, and everything else. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't put the hours in, you're not going to get the results. And if you're not going to put the hours in, get the hell out of the position. Service does not mean you get rich off of it. Service means you're of value to each and every member of our craft. Josh says it's going to be hot again, sticky, sweaty. Start hydrating tonight. Don't wait till tomorrow. Salt, electrolytes, whatever you need to do. Your brakes, get out of that vehicle, find some shade. If they have any problems with you having undocumented stationary events, and explain to them, your messages tell us to get out of the vehicle and prevent heat stroke or heat prostration. But the fact of the matter is, you're the first one responsible for your own safety, and nobody in management can contest that. Go out there, do your jobs professionally, proficiently, efficiently. Be safe. I can't emphasize that enough. Be safe. Be smart, and take care of yourselves. You are the most important delivery of the day. Get home to your loved ones, because they'll miss you. The post office will.
They'll have your position filled within a day.
James,
Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on to do this, and I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to step back and work on my campaign on its own. You know, we are at the pivotal point of this union. The comments that carriers are making today are the exact same comments they were making in the late 1960s. Word for word. And yet, the people who have been around since that time frame, been alive since that time frame, don't recognize the history there. And history is important. Our history as not only an organization, one of the oldest organizations in the United States, as well as our craft and union. History matters. And those that choose to ignore history tend to repeat it. And they are repeating it right now. We have an opportunity to make a difference every single day. It doesn't have to be a single person at the top of the organization. It can be each and every one of us on the workroom floor. I know when I'm done being president, I will be going back down onto the workroom floor. I will be going back to work her out, because that is what you are supposed to do when you are in one of these service positions. I'm a carrier. I will be a carrier because that's what we do. Carriers are the only people in this organization I care about. I can have interests in taking care of good management. I can have interests in making sure things run smoothly for the organization. But my love for the rural carrier shines through it all. Take care of your brothers and sisters out there of this craft. As both guys said, it's going to be hot. There's going to be storms. We just had our 30th tornado in the state of Michigan yesterday. And it's not going to stop. We've had tornadoes in Michigan in December. So, flooding, another big concern we've had out there. Now, I want to take a moment of personal privilege. One of our listeners in our chat stated one of her fellow rural carriers is battling cancer. So I'm going to take a moment and say a prayer for her. And hopefully that she beats that cancer. But we've got to do something for each other. Reaching out to your brother or sister carrier and helping them, giving guidance, things like that. Just do anything to help your brother or sister out. Even if it's just lending them an ear while they vent about the same thing you've heard about 300 times. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. Good night, everybody.
Good night and good luck.